Hey folks, MasakoX here, you know the drill. Let's tuck into the finale. We got a code radish going on here. Unless you just joined us, in which case, go watch the playlist. Bardock was watching his son for the first time in what had been years, making progress toward reaching his mother. He could have rushed over to him and helped him get to her faster, but he didn't. No, he thought. He never helped out his boys in that way. Let them figure it out for themselves. They learn more that way. Besides, he had been attempting to get to the figure of his mother all this time. It would have been a slight against his honor and efforts and Saiyan pride if he were to diminish his struggle and help. Each labored step expended considerable energy, but after what felt like hours, Raditz extended his hand out to Gine and held her hand. The apparition's expression changed from anguish and pain, from being held in chains, to considerable relief and maternal affection. I knew you could do it. Raditz's face contorted itself into a sorrowful smile, before the figure of Gine disappeared from view, the chains collapsing to the floor. Raditz could then feel the invisible force that had been dragging him back since he got here also vanish. He fell flat on his face and gasped for air. He was free. He was finally free. All that was left was this infinite expanse of dust and rock. And the two Saiyan men. Bardock hadn't disappeared. No, he was real. Bardock still didn't rush over to help his boy. In the aftermath of what he had seen, he had been left truly shocked himself. He had witnessed what Raditz's mind had interpreted was his own definition of eternal anguish. He didn't know whether to feel bad for the guy or to cuss him out for being so pathetic in desperately wanting his mummy. But then again, he couldn't do that. He had been longing for Raditz's mummy too, for 40 years in fact. To chew out his son for the same want would have been equally pathetic, if not more so, and Bardock was not pathetic. At least not anymore. He in the end slowly walked forward. It's me, kid. You're safe. Safe? Said Raditz, processing the meaning of the word. Bardock then knelt down next to his eldest and scruffed his copious hair. Raditz then looked up at him with a confused expression. What's gotten into you, father? I've been through a lot, and seeing what you had to go through for all of this time gave me some perspective. Regardless, I came to get you out of here. You've done your time. My time? You mean that big pink guy's letting me go? Not exactly. He threw me and Kakarot a bone. Kakarot? Immediately, Raditz leapt up and seethed. That scum who killed me? His own brother? Why would you? Hey, I know what you did to get yourself in that and this mess, so don't act like the victim, okay? He helped us, so be grateful. Or I could just leave you here, too. Well, he looked around at the infinite nothingness. Whatever's going on around here now? Raditz's anger faded away. He had been through too much to endure it. So he backed off almost as quickly as he flared up. Sorry, father. I was only trying to convince Kakarot to join me and, well, be a true Saiyan warrior. Bardock was left perplexed at this response. Really? You'd want to subject your brother to those two knuckleheads for all eternity, who dragged you around in the dirt? I'm kind of glad he told you no. But hey, to be fair, he could have taken down his response a notch, you know what I mean? He smirked. Just let it go, kid. The world's moved on a lot since you were stuck in here. Raditz then noticed the door to the outside realm of HFIL. He hadn't seen it in the midst of his anguish and Bardock's sudden appearance, but he was keen to get out of here. So with that, Bardock helped Raditz walk out of the chamber and out into the general space of HFIL. As soon as they had crossed the threshold, the gateway vaporized. Well, it had no use anymore because its subject wasn't even there. Raditz breathed in the relatively fresh air of HFIL for the first time and sighed. I never thought I would get out of there. Raditz and Bardock then found a bench to sit down on, and the latter caught the former up with what had been going on since the latter had met Kakarot. So that Beerus legend was the real deal? And Vegeta? Did he? Oh, you bet he did. But he's calmed down a lot since you knew him. He's even got a family now. Really mellowed out. Raditz still couldn't believe that he had just heard that. So does all what I had been through my adult life not mean anything? Am I supposed to forgive him and forget all about it? Bardock shook his head. No. After what I saw, and what I myself have gone through, you don't owe him jack. If it means anything, I can tell you're a lot stronger than you were when I last saw you. Raditz was kind of bewildered by this non sequitur. I have? How do you know? You don't have a scouter! Bardock smirked. I picked up a few tricks from your brother and his friends. Just kinda happened, you know? Speaking of his brother, Goku immediately transmitted in and caught both of them by surprise. Hey, who's that Paradet? Oh, Raditz, I don't remember you being this strong. Ah! You! Raditz's immediate response after that was to lunge forward in defense, but Bardock grabbed his shoulder and told him to calm down, to which he did. I'm way stronger than either of you. Both Bardock and Raditz grimaced at the woeful tact of their peer. You, Raditz, you're definitely more powerful than we last fought. Bardock then nudged Raditz in the back to then say the next thing. Listen, Kakarot, I'm sorry for trying to take your son. Gohan, was it? I know that means a lot coming from you. Raditz then looked to his hands and tried to think of a reason why he appeared to be stronger than before. I guess after all the energy that it took to try and reach Mother, non-stop for years, never tiring, it must have left a mark. Mind if I test it? Said Goku in a very chill way. Raditz though took it the wrong way. You wish to fight me again? Why? I've done nothing wrong! Bardock calmed him down again. Chill, Raditz, he just wants to spar with you. You know, test your might. Raditz looked exasperated. Kakarot, I've only just escaped my hell. Give me a break, will ya? Goku shrugged and complied, but he still wanted to fight him at least once. After Raditz had some time to process what had happened, the brothers met in the corner of HFIL where they wouldn't be interrupted. Bardock, he kept watch and surveyed the battle. Raditz had been secretly wanting to fight his brother, to be fair, one more time, without that wretched Namekian getting in the way. He'd been thinking about this for eternity. Had that Piccolo not been around to help him, he would have wiped the floor with his younger brother, and then he would have had no choice but to join him and work for Frieza. But now apparently Frieza was dead. For a second time. And the other two Saiyan henchmen, well, they were no longer the beings that they used to be. Either way, a fight was to be had. You see, folks, since Yama had never expected for Raditz to escape his prison or be persuaded to let him out, Raditz, like Frieza did in the second time he was in his own personal hell before the Tournament of Power, was effectively strength training whilst being tormented. All of this had left him with unnoticed gains, and steeled his resolve and previously sneaky and cowardly nature. Think about it. He had been going through all of this for 24 hours a day, for nearly 20 years. And thanks to this arduous ordeal, Raditz had come out of this a changed man. But that being said, seeing his brother again had caused his old self to slip back in a little, albeit temporarily. The fight began, and Goku chose to remain in his base form, to not overwhelm his brother about the legendary Super Saiyan power, like he had done with his father back when they first met. He learnt. However, this fight was a lot closer than Goku had expected. Raditz hadn't developed his techniques or anything like that, no, since he was essentially locked in place, but his raw strength and tenacity, oh, that had increased drastically since the day he had attempted to steal Gohan. The Saiyan was both surprised and shocked at this revelation. Goku could tactically outclass Raditz, yeah, but when punches connected, Goku felt them, and they hurt. Raditz had become an animal in there, but Goku realized that anyone would have gone feral having been subjected to non-stop horrors for 2 decades. Bardock watched over this fight, and was proud to see his two sons connecting again, both directly, with fisticuffs, and indirectly, in the Saiyan manner of a good battle. Like proper Saiyan warriors. Raditz had a second chance. Wait. Bardock was starting to get an idea. Goku kept to his base form throughout, and even though he won out thanks to his martial arts background and experience, Raditz had given him a very impressive showing. He had also not resorted to devious tricks or underhanded, unsportsmanlike plans to get the better of him. Raditz had to admit, even to himself after what he had gone through, that he kind of enjoyed it. You've come a long way since I saw you as a baby. You're not half bad. I can say the same about you. Now that you play fair. The brothers shook hands. Bardock felt it was time. Kakarot, can you give us a lift to Yama's place? I want to ask him something else. Okay. Do we have to? I mean, Raditz is free now, and why do you want to talk to him again? It's important. Trust me. It'll make everyone happy. Goku shrugged and did what he was told. Soon, the trio of Saiyans were in front of the king once more, who who looked increasingly frustrated at being pulled away from his regular duties of stamping papers.
What do you want now? I've let your kid out against my own sentiments. You want me to kiss him and make up? Or maybe even send him to heaven?
Bardock stepped forward. No, King Yema, I want you to give my life force to Raditz. Everyone in the room stopped what they were doing. Even Yama's mighty stamp fell from his hand and onto the floor next to them with a loud crash. Had he heard that right? You heard me. My life for his. Goku was floored, but Dad, he'll be dead again. What gives? Look, kid, I know what you did for me was noble and all, but your lady was right. One thing we shared in common, in fact. I don't belong there anymore. I had my time there and things changed. Goku was stunned to hear this, but right there and then, he searched his feelings and knew it to be true. He had been selfish all those years ago, wishing his father back. Against his will, seemingly. When he hadn't asked to have been. Goku had revived him for his own wants and ideals. Now at least his father was being honest. Raditz was the most astonished out of all of them. He was getting a chance to live again? Yama grabbed another stamp and started to awkwardly twirl it around his hand, as if to alleviate some of the tension he was feeling right now. Sure, he had seen Saiyans change their ways, Goku and Vegeta, but he never expected the older generation, and one that had angered him personally, to have had that sort of an about face. However, he had to be the bearer of bad news.
Bardock, I'm impressed with your selfless act, but I cannot grant life to others. That's not in my job description. My role here is to process the newly departed, where their final destiny is meant to be realized. I can't grant life.
Bardock looked up at him. And a good job you did with that too, leaving Gine to fester for all eternity thanks to your ego. Yama twitched for a second.
I'm trying to be nice here. Back off! Is this something you agree with, Goku?
Everyone looked at Goku, him feeling the pressure of this choice. It was his call, but he knew that this is what his father wanted, to be with Gine, instead of being pulled between two realms. It is, Yama.
I see. Well, maybe you can talk to Whis about it, since you two are chummy and all.
Of course! Why didn't I think of that? Let's go, guys! Without further explanation, Bardock, Raditz, and Goku were transmitted over to Beerus's planet. Whis agreed to do it, since this is what Goku asked for, and he had been showing very impressive progress as of late with their Super Saiyan Blue training. Before he did it though, Whis asked Bardock if this was something he truly wanted, to which the father of the boy said yes. Raditz will do better with my shot at life. I know he would. He wants it more. My future lies in the other world. With that, Whis tapped his staff on the ground, and the transfer of life force happened in an instant. Raditz's halo shifted over from himself over to his father. Bardock felt nothing change, but he was kind of glad to see his halo back over his head. He kind of missed it, and Raditz no longer burdened with it. Raditz felt no difference either.
Are you sure it worked, Kakarot?
I can assure you, Saiyan, said Whis. It definitely has. Bardock here will soon be transferred back to the other world. Yama will deal with him from there. Bardock smiled. Well, I'll see you on the other side, boys. Raditz, don't get yourself killed again, or else you'll have me to answer to. And for the first time that Kakarot had ever seen, he laughed, and then turned to his other son. Kakarot, nice to have met you. With that, Bardock faded away and found himself indeed back at the check-in station, ready to be processed by Yama.
Well, Bardock. Back again,
he joked. Yeah, replied the Saiyan.
Well, what to do with you? You giving up your life is a pretty impressive feat. Not many folks alive today would do that sort of a thing. You don't deserve to go back to HFIL, yet you have to understand that I cannot let you roam heaven. Your previous track record can't be ignored.
I wouldn't want to be in heaven anyway. How about this? The Saiyan then explained to Yama what he had in mind. The king listened and thought about it.
Okay, I can make that work.
He stamped down on Bardock's minted application, and a door appeared before him.
Go through there. I'll have things arranged for you. Promise not to cause trouble, got it?
Bardock walked through the door and found himself in the city of Hades, the city that resided directly below the check-in station, the residence of the ogres that worked around the other world. Neither heaven or HFIL, nor was it purgatory. But, okay, cool. He had a place to call home, That was a damn sight better than his first port of call under that tree. Meanwhile, at West Kai's place, an ogre arrived to visit the deity with important news from Yama himself. When he had read it out, West Kai let out a massive wail and smashed the wall of his house in frustration. As he was venting his anger out at the ogre, Paikon headed back to the kitchen with a look of pleasure.
Pack up your things, my friend. Your services are no longer required.
Huh? She looked at her halo. It was still there. Oh, what's going on?
Sounds like Yama's granted you sanctuary somewhere else.
Somewhere else? Where?
Paikon smiled. I think you'll like where.
As Gine packed her things, she walked over to the ogre, who whisked her away. West Kai was devastated, left with Paikon to let off steam with. When the ogre deposited her in the city of Hades, she found herself outside a small, hut-like dwelling in the middle of it. Nervously, she knocked on the door, and who opened it? It was Bardock!
Hey, like the new digs?
Gine was flabbergasted. What had happened? She then saw his halo. You're dead again. Oh, Bardock, what did you do?
Relax, it's nothing bad, he said with genuine relief, feeling calm for the first time in forever. Short story, Raditz has got a second chance at life.
Gine processed this and was even more shocked.
Kakarot and he will patch things up. I'm sure of it.
Gine then hugged Bardock as hard as she could. You did all of this so that means we could be together, didn't you?
Pretty much. If I'm gonna be stuck somewhere for all eternity, I'd want it to be you who tagged along with me.
Gine was crying, sniffing loudly, but she hadn't felt this happy in a long time. Is this for real? Can you really stay here?
Yeah, Yama sorted it out for us. Here, we could be ready for when the rest of our family comes through the doors.
Gine smiled. I like the sound of that. I can't wait to meet them. And indeed, as the decades passed, she would meet them. All of them having lived a long and happy life, their aged bodies slowly regressing back to their prime. A gift for being a Dragon Team member. And Gine and Bardock were there to greet all of them. When Kakarot and Vegeta passed through the gates, their bodies returning from their 70-year-old plus visages to their heyday, Gine gave the former the biggest of hugs. I'm so proud of you, Kakarot. I mean, Goku. It's okay, Mom. I don't mind Kakarot anymore. I can't wait to tell you all about what I got up to. I look forward to it. She beamed and whisked him away to talk for hours. As Vegeta gazed at Bardock, the former smiled.
That was an honorable thing you did, Bardock.
Did you work it out with Raditz in the end? Asked Bardock.
Yes and no, but neither of us came to blows. We learned to tolerate one another and work together when we needed to, but nothing more.
I'll take that. Say, how did Goten turn out? Vegeta chuckled.
He became a very impressive fighter, Bardock. Really running rings around his elder brother.
Bardock nodded. Good. I like the sound of that. What are you going to do now? Train for all eternity? Like the good old days?
Probably. We'll see what happens.
It's good to see you, Prince. The two parted company. Bardock heading back to his son to show him their home in the city. Eventually, and this was a very long time in the future, about 100 years or so, Bardock's granddaughter, the one that had listened to his stories when she was just a baby, passed through the gates of the check-in station. Like the rest, her visage had regressed to her prime and she had a visitor. No Gine this time, but no. There he was. Hey kid, he said to her. She immediately knew who it was. Ready to hear some more stories? I've got some of my own. Bardock smiled. Sounds good. Let's go. With that, the pair walked to the city and off to the rest of the family. So, thanks to Goku and Bardock meeting all those years ago, things did work out for them both, but not in the way you might have expected. And this is where we end things. Thank you.